Let's be real for a second. Do you worry about money? You know, that little voice in your head that says you should be doing more, saving more, investing something. But the whole thing just feels so overwhelming and confusing. Well, what if the answer wasn't about cutting back, but about spending more on the things you actually love? Seriously, think about it. That morning coffee, a nice dinner out, that thing you've been wanting to buy. Does spending money on that stuff come with a little twinge of guilt? A feeling like, I probably should have saved this instead. If so, you are definitely not alone. It's one of the biggest emotional roadblocks we have with our finances. And this is exactly why this book is such a breath of fresh air. The author, Ramit Sethi, he basically kicks things off by telling you to buy the latte. In fact, buy as many as you want, because his whole point is that getting rich isn't about pinching pennies. It's about getting the big things right so you never ever have to worry about the small things again. And that totally counterintuitive idea is right at the heart of Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. In this explainer, we're going to break down his super practical, no-nonsense system for building wealth without all the guilt. All right, let's get into it. So, first things first, we have to understand why managing money feels so hard for so many of us. Ramit has a great name for it, the fog of finance. It's this cloud of anxiety and confusion and all this conflicting advice that just leads to, well, doing nothing at all. I love this analogy Ramit uses. Think about fitness. People will argue for hours about the tiny details. Is keto better than paleo? What about this weird supplement? But deep down, we all know what really matters, right? Eat a little less, move a little more. It's the exact same thing with money. We get stuck debating the small stuff, like which stock to pick, and we completely miss the huge, simple wins that actually build wealth. And you know, this feeling of being stuck often leads to this really cynical mindset, what Ramit calls victim culture. It's that feeling of, the system is rigged, it's impossible to get ahead, so why should I even bother trying? And that attitude feels like it's protecting you, but really it's a cage. It stops you from taking any action at all. So here's the deal. It all boils down to a choice. You can be a passenger, just kind of letting your finances and your life happen to you, or you can decide to be the captain. You can grab the wheel and start steering your own ship. And yeah, you might go off course sometimes, but you are in control. This book is basically the navigation chart to help you become the captain. Okay, so how do we become the captain? Well, the system starts in a really interesting place. Not with a spreadsheet or a budget, but with a question. What does a rich life actually mean to you? Now, this is a huge shift in thinking. The goal is not just to have a big pile of money. No way. The goal is to design a life you absolutely love, and then use money as the tool to make it happen. Money just becomes the fuel for your goals. It isn't the goal itself. And this gets us to the core of his whole plan. It's called conscious spending. It's not about being cheap. It's about being deliberate. You figure out what you truly deeply love. Maybe it's travel, or amazing food, or nice clothes. Spend extravagantly on that stuff, with zero guilt. And for everything else, the stuff you don't really care about, cut those costs mercilessly. It's a way to make your spending perfectly match your values. Now, once you know where you want your money to go, how do you actually make sure it gets there? I mean, we can't just rely on willpower because we all know how that goes. The answer is the second pillar of this system, and it's the secret weapon: automation. This system is just pure genius because it takes the two biggest reasons we fail with money, our memory and our willpower, completely out of the equation. You set it up one time, and it just runs on its own. Your paycheck comes in, and boom, before you even see it, money is automatically sent to your rent, to your investments, to your savings goals. And the best part, whatever is left over is your guilt-free spending money. You can blow it on lattes, on anything you want, because you know all the important stuff is already taken care of. Okay, so you're saving money automatically. Awesome. But where do you actually put that investment money? Well, this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, a ridiculously simple, proven approach to investing that takes all the scariness out of it. Okay, this slide right here tells one of the most powerful stories in all of finance. So you've got Smart Sally. She invests just $200 a month, starts at 35, and only does it for 10 years. Then you have Dumb Dan. He waits till he's 45, but he invests for 20 years. He invests for twice as long and puts in double the money. But look at the results. Sally ends up with over $60,000 more. That's not magic, my friends. That is the raw power of compound interest. It proves the single most important factor in investing isn't picking the perfect stock. It's just starting as early as you possibly can. All right, now let's talk about something that can quietly sneak in and destroy all those beautiful returns. Fees. 2%. I mean, it sounds like nothing, right? Such a tiny number. It's what a lot of financial advisors charge to actively manage your money for you. But here is the absolutely shocking truth. That tiny little 2% fee, compounded over your entire investing life, can eat up more than half of your potential money. Half! It's insane. This is why Ramit is so passionate about using simple, low-cost index funds. You get the market returns for a tiny fraction of the cost, and you end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars more in your pocket. It's a no-brainer. So this really straightforward, no BS system, it comes from a pretty unique perspective. So who is this guy, Ramit Sethi? Well, Ramit isn't your typical stuffy finance guru. He actually comes from a background in psychology and technology, and he applies that way of thinking to money. He gets that our behaviors, our mindsets, those are way more important than knowing some complex formula. He's all about focusing on the 5 to 10 big wins, like automating your investments or negotiating a higher salary, instead of obsessing over 50 tiny things, like, the price of a coffee. So what's the point of all this? What's the end game? The system, the conscious spending, the automation, the simple investing, that isn't the real goal. It's just the engine that powers the actual goal, living your rich life. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Once your system is set up and running, you're free. You can actually look at your bank statement and see your values reflected right back at you. If you value travel, you'll see plane tickets. If you value your friends, you'll see money spent on dinners out. Your money finally stops being a source of anxiety and starts being a true expression of what's important to you. So let's just recap the biggest takeaways here. 1. Forget the small stuff and focus on the big wins. 2. Figure out what your rich life actually looks like. 3. Automate your finances so the whole thing runs on autopilot. 4. Start investing now, not later, in simple, low-cost funds. And finally, the whole point of this is to get the system right so you can get on with the fun part, living your life outside the spreadsheet. And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to think about. Once the machine is built and running on its own, once money is no longer a daily stress but just a tool, what are you actually going to do with your rich life? Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found this useful, we'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button for more explainers from Summerpedia. We'll see you in the next one.